would literally get a disease and they would bring it back to their village. And literally within a week or two of this guy showing up, 1/3 of the people die of a cold or something they had no immunity for, right? A flu would just ravage through, right? So by the time the English and Spanish got inland far enough, they found dead villages all over the place. And they acted like it wasn't them because they didn't know about disease and shit at the time, but they had killed them outright without even realizing it. And then later they figured out that these people had no immunity. They literally gave them diseases on purpose. They would go to these hospitals in those days. It was bad. They had cholera wards and and they would take all the blankets from those, fold them up and give them away to the Indians, spreading diseases all around. They think at least 65% of all the Indians died of disease, not of getting, not of fighting. We always show the noble savage out there fighting against, the whoever, right? The white man. They all died long before that. And then by the time they got out there, they did fight it, They're fighting in Afghanistan, one, to control the resources, but two, because those people, there's a place called Waziristan where they're sending all these drones up in what do they call this? It's like the unincorporated territories, or I don't know what they call it. But there's a part of Pakistan,
country, right?
Yeah. Well, what it is a place that's never been conquered. Not by Alexander, not by the Russians, not by fucking nobody. And we're in there, and we can't do it either. So we're sending our drones in just to kill them all off because we don't have the balls to get up into this godforsaken high plateau in the middle of nowhere, no trees, no nothing, heavy, gullies and. They've been living there now for 3,000 years. They know all the trails. They know where everything is, And they have one request to the rest of the world. Get the fuck out. We're here. We own it. We don't want you here. We don't want your ways. We don't want it. Fucking leave us alone. We've been here since I used to sit there with the Silk Road and, say, give me 10%, right? These are these people. That's the Afghani people. They've been fighting all their lives. They're warrior people now, just since we've been alive. They've been fighting as long as you've been alive. Longer than you've been alive. Because the Russians started.
And met with no success.
Before that, the Brits. Okay, the Brits were there they left in 1879 or something. They were there for a long time, and they fucking got slaughtered too. And there's this passage, this guy, Corporal Manning, wrote, this diver, I guess he sent a letter back to we were there, we're standing in formation, they had the guys on the knees and the guys standing up and all that weird lines, warfare, they used to just line up and have at each other, right? Which makes you wonder, that's why they needed the Prussian education system. Who is going to just stand up knowing they got probably a 96% chance of dying, and they're just going to do it for the Queen and for the country, right? That was programming, okay? Now you want to know about programming? Talk about the military programming. But anyway, that guy said that they stood up and these people came forward. They all had black turbans, and they would run right up through all the fire, dropping down, and one guy would get up there, and at first he'd whip out his sword and chop the head off and know he's going to die, but he chopped the head off of one of them Brits. And he said, and they had these black turbans. They called themselves the Taliban. Nobody will tell you that the Taliban's been around forever. This was 1868 or something like that. The Taliban are students of the Quran who, when they look around and see another invader, take up their guns and fight for their freedom, okay? And they've been doing this now for thousands of years, at least we know, since 1850 whatever, when the Brits were there. And Alexander was there, Alexander the Great, right? And all these other armies. And that's why we're there. To tell you the honest to God truth, I'll bet it's the ego of a few generals who want to fucking
possess that land.
Yes, because nobody's been able to, and because they don't want us to. And they're going to go and they're going to fuck them over. It's like a rape. You know what I'm saying? You won't let me? Well, by God, you will let me, And I will beat you until you let me stick my dick up your ass or wherever I want it. It's a heavy thing with these people, right? They gotta control, right? That's what the military does. And once they figured out that Russia just was holding off, pretending, they couldn't pretend any longer, right? basically they had nothing. All the people were, fuck you, there's no government, screw you. I mean, literally their whole nation just finally turned around to, fuck this government shit. We've been lying to us and, throwing us in gulags and bullshit, right? And they just turned around and figured out how to grow potatoes in their backyard and stay alive, That's what we got to do here, see? Figure out how to, and people just got to turn away and survive. Because these guys, they only exist to control us. Because they don't make money. You make money. In other words, the workers make the money. They add the value to something. They take materials and turn it into something, right? And these guys just take the profit from that and sit back, And they're taking profit off the loaning of money, the mortgages, right? They're living off of their 10% off of whatever, or their percentage, right? They don't work. This is now generations and generations of people. They don't work. They don't know anything about it. I mean, what do you think the Queen of England does on a day-to-day basis, right?
They say regular people work, rich people has their money work for them.
Exactly. But it's your money work for them.
Imaginary dollars going around in circles.
Because they stole the money from the workers. See, really, that's what I'm trying to say. But they figured out how to do this, how to control the masses. Genghis Khan did it by chopping the heads off of one village, literally slaughtering every single thing, including dogs, cats, every living thing. The next village hears about it, and when he comes in, they say, oh, yes, sir, what would you like, right? By fear, control by fear, right? And this is what you see. But now they're trying to be more subtle. It's hard to take swords and chop somebody's head off, right? In fact, our soldiers are going crazy because they're out there literally shooting women and children, and they know it. You may not know it. The United States may not know it. But those guys who are shooting them, they see the blood and guts. They know what's going on, right? And they're going crazy because they're filling them with drugs. People don't realize that they're giving them an average of 12 drugs. Every time they go on a mission, they give them speed. And if you've ever done speed, I know I have, not the meth type, but methadone, pharmaceutical methadone we used to do. They were 5 and 10 milligram pills that were in the 50s being sold as diet pills, as weight loss pills, whatever. We'd eat a few of them, particularly with some weed or some whatever. We throw a little bit of speed on the side and keep you going, right? But after 24 hours, you go crazy, right? Your body can't do that, It gets to a certain point, all the enzymes get funny and whatever, and your body's not, and your brain goes crazy, literally. In fact, Ritalin is speed they're giving the kids because after a while, the brain can't take that, so it shuts off. And then you get this kid who sits there dull and just stares at you. And that's what they want in school. Dull. Shut up and do what we tell you. Bring your homework in and have it checked, right?
That is some scary shit, dude.
But it's the